Hi, folks. This is video one of my State of Reality series. I'm a spiritual teacher, and one truth that I will hold dear, it doesn't matter what video you're watching, is that the Father and I are one, just as you and I are one. And I'm going to show you why that is. Right? So the picture you're looking at you in front of you is basically a lot of different representations of the same thing. Your body, a tree, a galaxy. That picture in the upper, no, wrong side, that way. No, that way. Yeah, up there. That one is on the far upper left here is, I think it's an X-ray picture of a electromagnetic toroidal field. So, pretty much everything is that. If you look at the field around the person down there, that's your own biofield. And it's not actually limited the way it shows in that picture. When we try and measure our biofields, they go out exponentially. There's no limit to any field. And that's why I can say the Father and I are one, just as you and I are one. And if you stick with these videos and watch them all the way to the end, you'll have a much deeper understanding of who you are. And it might even cause you to do things and go on a path that you didn't foresee coming. Because by the time you get to these end of these videos, I'm going to get to my conclusions video, and you'll realize that following your heart is probably the best idea that you can do right now. But let's focus on giving some parameters for what all this stuff is, right? So a galaxy, I like these galaxy pictures because it's kind of showing you the same thing. And that world tree down there, right there, it shows this spinning thing in the top of the world tree. And a galaxy has got this field that looks just like your field around it. And so all of us are this one thing, an awareness at the center. And everything around it is moving in two directions. And the reason is because there's really only one point in time space. There's only now, right? There's not tomorrow, there's not yesterday. Not only is there no anything but now in time, there's not anything but just one point in space. That's why time and space works the way it does. So either you're moving towards the one point or away from the one point in the field. And that's why everything is in motion. Everything has to be in motion because there's only one point in time space. We have this idea of matter, but matter really doesn't exist, right? They can't find anything that is solid. As soon as they break it up, it's like, oh, it's just made of a bunch of more of these little fields. My brother and I went to somebody that came from the Hadron Collider, a scientist that came from the Hadron Collider, and she was giving a speech about the Hadron Collider. And finally, after about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, one of the other professors there at the university stood up and he's like, how do you know you guys were just looking at another piece of quanta? In other words, quanta means measured amount. And she's like, well, we didn't, right? Because they never found anything solid. They just found the smallest thing they could get down to and assumed it was a particle. But nobody's ever found a particle because everything is moving. A particle, by definition, is something that is solid that's not moving. But nothing is that. So, and think of it this way. Everything is just a smaller version of something bigger. So in your own body, you are whatever your name is, Bob, Joe, Shaniqua. Shaniqua's like my favorite name, and I don't know why that is, right? I have no idea. But the cells in your body, are they your name? Like, is my kidney cell named Brian? I don't think so. I mean, its experience is totally different than mine, but it's still me, right? So what about the people around you? Are they you or are they Earth? Should we call each other Earth? I don't know. That's a good question. So anyway, an awareness is this one point, and then it's either moving away from the center or towards the center. So if you look at the tree, trees are a good example. Every awareness is a conductor of energy and information. Information describes the structure, and that structure dictates how much energy it can contain and move. E equals mc squared is a representation of that. And actually, I'm going to talk about that more in the next video. Or actually, maybe in my cycles video. I haven't decided. But everything has this branching structure, right? It's either you're moving light towards the center on the top side of the tree, and then that light is being dispersed on the bottom. I love that tree in the bottom on this bottom left here because it shows this underworld, right? Which is this dark place where there's no light, and that's where the light's going. The light is being dispersed into the darkness because there is no place where there isn't light. Either you are the light in the darkness, or you are attracting light toward you, right? You're pulling light or you are producing light, and your body's doing that. You're producing light from the center, it's going up, and then all that light is coming back into the bottom. That's why when you eat, it goes into your abdominal area because you're absorbing the energy from around you. So let's go to the next slide. Let's do that. So every awareness, I didn't talk about this in the last slide, but every awareness is limited by the boundaries of your awareness, right? I mean, my awareness is limited by what I am aware of. If somebody comes into my house while I'm gone and steals some of my stuff, and then I come back and I don't know it, I'm not aware of it. So that's not in my awareness. So as things grow like trees, that's an expanding awareness. That's how we expand our awareness as we grow. That's the definition of growth, is an expansion of awareness. You become aware of more things. So everything organizes itself in nature exactly like this model, this branching model. This is a river delta, a couple of river deltas here. I can't remember what river delta that is in the bottom left. It looks like it's California. Anyway. A lightning strike is a conductor of energy. It's showing that branching structure that's moving energy between, a high pressure zone to a low pressure zone. There's a difference in potential there. And when that difference of a potential gets great enough, it flashes over. Boom. This is what we see in a conflict. A conflict is just a separation of two awarenesses that there's a difference in potential. So as soon as that difference in potential gets big enough, it flashes over. We see this in wars. You see this in people fighting. If any of you have had a relationship where you see it's getting tenser and tenser, the reason it's getting tenser and tenser is because those people aren't opening up. They're not talking to each other and communicating. They're not transferring energy between the two to understand one another, right? I don't understand this, so I am in direct opposition to it. So your understanding and awareness flashes over a conflict. And in businesses, this is just kind of a standard model of a business down there. It is built just like a branching organism. So any business has got that tree formation where you have product on one side and consumer on the other. And so the frontline employees are connected to product on one side, and then the frontline employees are connected to consumer on the other. Your sales department, your consumer, the people, helping consumers. I'm talking, it's escaping me. Who cares? But you know what I'm talking about. And the people building the product are on the other side. And then everybody else are serving that, and that's the way your body works, is your heart, the center of your organism, is serving that side. And that's one problem that we have in society right now, is that, the center really, especially in a business, if you try to control your frontline employees too much, then you just create conflict, right? Because they are the ones that are in direct contact with either product or consumer, and they're the ones that are best capable of making decisions for those things. And so you'll see, as organizations grow larger, they get more dysfunctional because of the separation of people, and there's conflict, that of people being driven into higher paid positions, and then people don't talk to each other anymore, and bodies only, function well when they're communicating. So that's just kind of a short, synopsis of what we're seeing as a society, and that's all breaking down, and people are starting to understand that a lot better. So let's go to the next slide. So when we look at even a smaller subatomic, atoms. So this is a slide that I made a long time ago. Has an electron ever been observed? Well, no. They've assumed that there's these particles, right? But the reality is, and I'm going to cover this in my cycles video. An atom is 100 trillion times smaller than you are. So imagine your own personal cycles. Think of how many cycles that you have. You have a breathing cycle, you have a heart rate, you have a day and a nighttime cycle where your field expands while you're sleeping and then collapses while you're during the day, because you're expending energy. Like right now I'm speaking, so the information that's in here is coming out, right? And so everything works that way. Everything is a conductor of energy and information. You're just more complicated than the cat, hopefully. I mean, maybe your cat's more complicated than you are, but I don't know. My cat's pretty complicated. I don't know about you guys. My cat is super freaking complicated. I have a cat that attacks you if you get in close, and my dad doesn't help because he walks around and kicks the cat. The cat's, paws him. So you can't bend down to pet this cat. He will attack you and you will have marks on you. That's a side issue. Anyway, so we have these messed up, views of the atom. And to be perfectly honest with you, the skunk work programs, and the bigger corporations, they already know all this stuff, right? I'm not telling you anything new. These are all things that people know, but are just not being taught, because this is all old. What you're seeing here, these pictures of these ideas of how an atom works and an electron works, these are all old ideas of, Newtonian physics. It's like, well, an electron has to be this solid thing rotating around a center. But the reality is if a atom is moving 100 trillion times faster than you are, then if you're just going to see the exterior of that awareness, right? Because you're just going to see a fuzzy ball, and that's what we see. And you'll see a negative charger because that's the end of its point where it's run up against something else, but it's not a perfect insulator. It's still moving energy and information. There is no perfect insulator because everything's moving and everything's made up of smaller pieces of you, right? So that is going to be the end of this video. When next time you go outside, look around you and think about what everything looks like, and even if it's a sheet of metal, think about what it looks like subatomically and say, is that really different than what I look like? It's just moving energy information, and it might be a simple structure that's moving a limited amount of energy, and it's holding a certain amount of energy that creates this inertia. Unless it's just like the stand where you've got the balls, and then one ball goes like this and it goes like this, right? So you're transferring energy through all these balls, and then it's going on this side. So the balls in the middle aren't moving because they're transferring energy. Inertia works the same way. If I were to punch something and it released all that energy, it wouldn't go anywhere. It's holding that energy and then moving and then stopping. So everything works this way. Everything is an awareness. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Psych, forgot I had one more slide. I saw I had a slide up there, but I forgot I had it. So we'll go ahead and cover the slide real quick. Earth's magnetic field over there, right? There. Looks just like our magnetic field. And I like this picture on the upper right here of this video of this toroidal field where it shows the positive and negative zones. The bottom left picture there is the observable universe, and so it's another toroidal field. So this is one subject that I'll cover before the end of this video, and this is something I just read online, is that scientists are starting to get mixed results. They think that the universe was expanding exponentially, right, and moving faster and faster. But every time they measure in a different direction, they get a different result because you're in the middle of a toroidal field, right? So it depends which direction you're looking. Not only that, but you're looking at a cycle of a huge cycle, right? I mean, imagine if your cycle and what it is, and then imagine the cycle of the solar system. You have a 1 year solar cycle. It takes 1 full year for the Earth to go around. And then as you go out, it takes longer. Planets take longer time to go out the farther away. Now imagine what that is at a galactic scale, how long that cycle is. Now imagine how big the cycle is in the bottom left of the observable universe. So you're looking at, how many lifetimes will it be before we stop a field expansion, before that field starts to contract again? Everything looks exactly the same as we go out and in. And which direction we go is depending on where we're at in the field, depends on whether or not we're going to see things moving towards us or moving away, the speed at which it's moving away or moving towards us. So that will actually give us a better indication of where we're at in the field versus trying to come up with this idea of some big bang, of some starting event. That's all BS. Don't listen to any of that stuff. It doesn't mean anything. Love you guys. I'll see you in the next video.